first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not splitting my inheritance with my step-family? Female 21. I've had a pretty horrible childhood. My dad was a junkie when I was born. And when I was 3, he just packed up and left my mom and me. My older half-sister, different dads, was not a pleasant person to be around, and my mom was so busy working that I felt that I was really alone. When my mom died in 2011, my grandma took me in and things got a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I miss my mom every day, but my grandma provided a much healthier environment for me. My dad contacted my grandma in 2018 because he wanted to get in touch with me, but I shut that down. I wouldn't even see him, wouldn't talk to him or anything. Well, it turns out that he had turned his life around, gotten married and had a whole new family, but never had any other kids. He wanted to get to know me because he found out he had a stage 5 pancreatic cancer, but I didn't want anything to do with him. I never contacted him back. Long story short, he died 6 months ago. I only found out recently because my stepmother contacted me about inheritance. My dad had left everything to me. It's not a life-changing amount, and by not a life-changing amount, I mean that I'm still on the same track I was about. I'm still going in college for the same degree, just debt-free. I'm still planning on buying the same house and investment properties, just with smaller loans. It will improve my life so much, but I'm still going to work and do the same thing I was gonna do before. But he made me beneficiary of his life insurance, $100,000, left me savings, $35,000, and his house, which in this market I could sell for around $400,000. I mean, with this money, I could have college paid for, buy a house and some investment properties, and still have a nice nest egg to fall back on in case of hard times. She gave me the contact information for the lawyer handling this estate. The problem is that his wife hadn't ever planned on working again. She had quit her job when she moved in with my dad and hasn't worked in 6 years. She was telling me that it would be wrong to keep all of the money, especially since I never made up with him, and that I needed to split it 4 ways so that she and my siblings could have an equal share. I told her she could pound sand because he abandoned me for years and she got all the best parts of my dad, and all I got was the inheritance, and I hung up. I contacted a lawyer and everything is cut and dry. He left his wife and stepkids $100 each and left everything else to me, but I'm starting to feel bad for his wife. Would I be the a-hole if I did split the money? I mean, my dad never did anything for me, so this last grand gesture is really all I have. Edit. They're living in the house and she's not on the title. I'm planning on hiring a property management company and writing up an official lease. I don't want to make them homeless, and I'm not planning on selling the house right away. But I don't want to make any mistakes and lose the house by having her live in it. Thus, the property management company. I'm going to talk to my grandma on my dad's side and see if I can figure out why my dad left his other family out of the will. Now for the top comments before reading the poster's little update. Not the a-hole. You don't know his wife. You don't owe her anything. If your father left them each $100, he knew what he was doing. That inheritance is yours. Good luck in your future. He left those tiny amounts so they'd never be able to contest the will. He knew what he was doing and did it on purpose. You owe them nothing. Not the a-hole. 100% not the a-hole. Your dad made the decision to leave absolutely everything to you, so he clearly felt you deserved it, / needed it, and they didn't. Feels to me like he was thinking along the same lines as you, realizing he'd shortchanged you on a relationship, so all he could do was leave you an inheritance. Keep the money. It's what your dad wanted. I agree. He probably saw that step-family expected the money and realized he lost his relationship, so he probably tried to put in one last good word to Opie so that he wouldn't seem as horrible. They probably deserved getting 100 each. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I'm telling you right now, those people will most likely destroy that house. Protect yourself from that in the lease you are writing up. Yeah, I agree that there's a risk of retaliation under the circumstances that is likely not worth it to Opie. I know Opie doesn't want them to be homeless, and they won't be. They'll just live in a different home. That's not Opie's. And now for the update. Okay, wow, I just got off the phone with my grandma. I messaged her on Facebook and she gave me her number. I called her during my break. Apparently, my grandma hates my stepmom. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So I guess my dad wanted to reach out to me a lot sooner than he did, But his wife kept on convincing him not to, because she was saying if he got in touch with anyone from his junkie days, he would relapse. On top of that, they never actually got married. They had a ceremony 6 years ago, but they didn't sign any marriage license because they thought my mom was still alive and that he was married to my mom. She didn't want him to reach out for a divorce because, again, he might have relapsed. And the nail in the coffin, she was almost certainly cheating on him. I don't want to get into all the drama about that whole thing, but the only reason it didn't throw her out is because she got rid of the proof and didn't have any way to confirm it was more the next thing for years. Basically, it was a dysfunctional marriage, and by the end of everything, he didn't have the energy to deal with her, so he just let her be. Personally, what I think is that she never wanted me to be part of their perfect family. If he had reached out to my mom for a divorce, then he'd probably want to reach out to me too. Like I said, I wasn't super privy to information about his life until recently. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help support my brother's family despite that I stole their inheritance? I, 26 male, have been with my girlfriend, 24 female, for 10 years, and we have a 6-year-old son. My parents died when I was young, so my brother, 50 male, we were born far apart, was the one who primarily raised me. My brother was an extremely intelligent man, so he did well in life and was extremely well off. Not a billionaire or anything like that, but still wealthy. A few months ago, my brother passed away. He had an ex-girlfriend, 40 female, they broke up a few years ago, and 3 children, 21 female, 20 female, and a 19 female. I don't know why exactly, but he always disdained his immediate family, not counting me obviously, and before he died, disinherited his 3 children from his will. My brother also had a girlfriend, 25 female, and she was pregnant when he passed away. His unborn child didn't get anything since he wasn't born at the time of his death. Yesterday, my brother's girlfriend, the young one, contacted me asking if I could help support her and her newborn son with some of the inheritance. I thought about it for a few minutes, but ended up telling her no. She accused me of being selfish and went off about how I stole her children and my brother's daughter's money until I hung up. I can see where she's coming from, but I generally don't understand how she and her child are my responsibility. Am I the a-hole? Your brother sounds like he was a major douche. His first 3 kids are grown. However, his new baby on the way is going to have a much harder than necessary life due to your brother's choices. No a-holes here if you want to hold on to that inheritance. However, that baby is the biggest victim in all of this. Not to mention, the brother's oldest child, 21, was born when he was 29, and his wife was 19, and his new girlfriend was 25 years younger than him. You're the a-hole. While legally you may not have to do anything for this infant child of your brother and his extremely young girlfriend, morally it would be right to share the money with his minor children. Your brother also sounds like an a-hole, but is dead, so I guess he can be granted his status posthumously. You're the a-hole. She's still pregnant. He probably didn't even have any time to change his will yet. Here's what's going to happen next if the girlfriend is smart. She's going to hire a lawyer who will sue the estate. See, wills are funny. You can explicitly exclude someone, but if there is a reasonable grounds to assume someone was mistakenly not included, like an unborn child for example, then the court has the power to modify the will. That kiddo's gonna get half of their father's estate, and you're a terrible person for wanting to leave the mother of your brother's unborn child destitute. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not funding my sick brother's medical treatment? I know the title sounds bad, but hear me out. I, 27 female, have never been particularly close to my family. My parents, 62 female and 63 male, had always been partial towards my brother Nathan while growing up because he was their sole true heir, and I was like this unlucky pig they got off a claw machine they'd played for a second son. I come from a staunch Christian family that strictly believed in set gender roles while growing up, so much so that I'd be getting knitting needles for Christmas when I was 7, while Natty got 3 to 5 expensive toys that he'd asked for that year. I hated going to church groups and Sunday schools and eventually turned out to be an atheist, much to the chagrin of my parents. I funded my own college and further studies with a loan I'm still repaying to this day, while they had separate college funds for their blue-eyed boy. My father never approved of my career choices because a homely woman is a graceful woman, and he always thought I was silly to pursue a career in science. I'm a physicist, because women aren't good at numbers. I'm terrified of failing at anything in life because I know that'll reinstate their faith in my stupidity. I went no contact with their lot 2 years back when they tried to pressure me to marry a random man from our hometown because apparently he could recommend my brother, 31 male, to a job position he was vying for while trying to package it as, "Okay, lassie, you had your little fun and games, now it's time to settle down and be a responsible adult." Then on, I've talked to my mom over the phone a couple of times during the holidays, but that was about it. Last month, my mother rang to tell me that my brother has been diagnosed with leukemia and they need me to fund his medical care. I had started saving up for a house, and she told me she knows about my little nest egg, but I do not need it because some man will provide for me eventually. I flat out refused and told her they could get themselves a loan if they're so hard in cash, but this tiny lump sum has taken me almost 4 years together, and I can't jeopardize my future for this. Since then, I'm getting calls and texts from most of my extended family telling me how much of a selfish a-hole I am, how it's my duty to my brother and my family to stand beside them. My father yelled at me over the phone, calling me an ungrateful little witch who abandoned them at the mere sight of greener shores. I'm having second thoughts as to if I really am quite a gigantic prick for not footing my brother's medical bills since I have the money for it. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I know I haven't mentioned as much about my brother here as I should have, and I apologize for that. As I mentioned in my comments, he was a bully growing up, aided by the disinterest from my parents who always chose to look the other way, but as an adult, he actually made an effort to mend his relationship with me. We don't speak a lot, but I do talk to my brother way more than I do to my parents. I'm quite apprehensive of the kind of medical assistance is going to get in these times, and I'm prepared to help out whichever way I can bearing the money. I, as a person, am excessively insecure and paranoid about my future money situations, and I don't think I can put that up for a toss for anything at all. Certain points to clear this off further. 1. My mother knows about my savings from my brother, who knows how much I craved having a place of my own, and because I've quite often discussed how excited I am when I eventually will. He once jokingly called me a control freak, which maybe I am a little, because I do want to have a place where I can do things my way without being judged or controlled. 2. My brother has been out of his job for close to 3 years now. I'm from the UK, so we do have NHS, but I'm not sure if it covers aftercare. My parents didn't provide a breakup for the money they need. They automatically assumed all of the family would chip in with whatever hard cash they could spare. And that includes my life savings, because of course, how can anyone prioritize a tiny loft over her brother's life? 3. I do think my brother expects complete submission of my assets to his healthcare because he hasn't spoken to me since my mother's phone call. He had admitted previously that he'd treated me badly growing up, but I don't think he considers himself treated better than he deserved by my parents, just that I was mistreated. At this point, misogyny is so deeply ingrained in him, especially since he's always gotten to be on the fatter side of it. I don't think I could change his perspective. My parents mingle in a circle of people with similar outlooks, and they've never tried to hide in public their strict Christian upbringing of their children, where girls are taught to be docile and unquestioning. Now for the top comments. If they're so Christian, then they can all empty their life savings to help him instead of asking you. Who knows? Maybe all he needs is someone to pray the leukemia away. Thoughts and prayers. Not the a-hole. Your family sounds like someone has created a misogynist cartoon show. Women aren't good at numbers. I was half expecting a joke about the physics of sandwiches. Regardless, it's your money, so your choice. It's as simple as that. Thank you. I'm sick and tired of hearing that stupid outdated crap all the time. Just tell them surely with their collective power how much money they would all be able to raise if they sold their houses. Not the a-hole. It's sad about your brother and your family, but this is your future nest egg. In a traditional household, doesn't the son usually inherit the most anyway? So they can give him his inheritance early if needs be. This is not on you. My parents are unashamedly house proud, so I doubt they'd go to the mortgage route. I'll pass along the early inheritance proposal surely though, as soon as they start speaking to me again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for selling my daughter's car and putting the money towards her best friend's education? My daughter Sarah was suffering from a chronic condition. She suffered a lot of and missed out on a lot of things. As her only parent, her dad's deceased, I had to work hard to ensure she was happy and as healthy as possible. She had one best friend that she always called her sister, and she was with her during middle school. Quickly became close, and Sarah's friend was constantly there, in the good and in the bad. She did Sarah's homework, cleaned her room for her, even cooked for us when we got from the hospital in the evening. I knew Sarah's friend was the sister she needed. They have a lot of pictures together. After Sarah's funeral, her best friend asked me to help her hang their pictures on the wall. It got to me because although it was hard, but it brought me joy. It felt like Sarah's friend was like a member of the family. Sarah was 17 when she passed away. Last month would have been her 18th birthday. No one showed up, although I got on the phone with my brother and we both cried. Sarah's friend made a cake and brought a photo album she made herself. It was simple, but it was wholesome. I just sold the car I was planning on gifting to Sarah on her 18th birthday. And I contacted Sarah's friend's parents and gave them the $8,000 as my contribution towards her education. They were thankful for it and very appreciative. Yesterday, my brother mentioned not seeing the car, so I told him that I sold it and what I did with the money. And he started throwing a tantrum, saying I shouldn't have done it, and said that I'm not thinking rationally and acting out of emotions because he thought that the car was going to my younger brother, who walks 30 minutes to university and work every day. He said I should have thought of my brother and that he was struggling. We got into an argument and I couldn't do it anymore. My mother agreed that I shouldn't have done it and that my brother was right. I felt bad and I couldn't talk to him after this argument. Not a haul. Looking at it from the most brutal angle, I can come up with, on short notice, you still, by definition, own the car. As such, you get to make the decision on how to dispense with it. From a softer angle, Sarah and her friend were close, and you opted to honor that closeness. I get the younger brother situation isn't great, but your, I presume, older brother doesn't get to tell you how to do things. If you want a brutal angle, your surviving family's annoyed they weren't able to profit from your daughter's death. Screw him. Didn't even turn up to the funeral either. Didn't even put in the same effort that the cliché greedy grandkids put in when their relatives are ill. I read it as they didn't visit on her birthday rather than the funeral. Still, absolutely not an a-hole. Not an a-hole. Did your brothers or your mother pay for any part of this car? Were they willing to buy it for your brother? If the answer is no, you were 100% not an a-hole. It was 100% your decision what to do with the item you bought. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Update. The guy 22 male that I 21 female am dating is learning American Sign Language for my brother, but my friends think it's creepy. How do I proceed with this? Original post. I 21 female met John 22 male in a college class last semester. He's an overall great guy, and he's very respectful and kind. He also has a great sense of humor, and we have lots of similar interests. We've been friends since then, and we started dating in July. He's the first person I've ever dated in my life. Last September, he met my family when I visited home for my brother's birthday. My brother, Trav 19 male, has been deaf since birth, so my whole family communicates with him either through sign language, Trav's lip reading, but we still just sign as a reflex, or through text. During our small celebration at home, it was clear that my parents liked John. He was very charming, funny, and respectful. He even tried to connect with Trav by typing some of his jokes for Trav to read, although my brother could lip read as well. Whenever John would tell a story, either I or my parents would sign for Trav. My parents said that they're happy that I've found a sweet and caring guy in John. Of course, I'm glad to hear this. Before we went back, John and Trav had a quick Call of Duty gaming session. For someone with Trav's condition, he is a really talkative guy, lol. He's very expressive and likes to communicate a lot, especially when gaming. Of course he couldn't outright trash talk, but he does the closest thing with his hands. So there we were in Trav's room, with John and Trav playing while I was translating for them. I was laughing way too hard, because Trav was trying his best to trash talk John, saying he's weak and trying to say all these expletives, but I was trying my best to tone it down for John. Meanwhile, I was also translating John's instructions and strategies for Trav. Also because this was the first time John met my family, he was saying all these phrases to Trev like good job or we can do better next time. Although I know that deep inside, he also wanted to trash talk my brother. The two of them got along pretty well, and they've been having some online gaming sessions since then. 2 weeks ago, John visited home with me again for Mom's birthday. There, he surprised everyone, including me, by communicating with Trev through ASL. John was still at the alphabet, some basic words and some rehearsed phrases, but we were all delighted that he even made the effort. Trev's face lit up, and I've never seen him happier. Having a new long-term friend with low communication barriers. Apparently, John had been watching some YouTube tutorials and got a free subscription to Skillshare to learn ASL. The two of them had a gaming session again, and this time, John and Trev could communicate more directly. Of course, it was still kinda slow, and I still had to do some translating. Imagine trying to baby talk to a grown man or talking to a caveman with choppy sentences, lol. But I could tell Trev was having a great time. They also got more comfortable with each other with more explicit trash talking, which I didn't tone down this time. John has been religiously learning ASL since then. It is making a lot of progress. I was so happy with this, so I told my close friend group from high school. However, most of my friends, especially my closest guy friend, told me that what John was doing was a red flag, because it could be a form of obsession and emotional manipulation. He also said it was creepy because John's becoming too attached to my family, when we've only been dating for about 5 months. He also said that John might only be doing it so he could get laid or something. I know there's some validity to what my friend said, but I'm not really convinced. John has been a wonderful and sincere guy the entire time, and I know it's naive to say this because he's my first ever relationship. But I can see this becoming long-term. Yes, we haven't hooked up yet, because I told him I wasn't ready, and he never pressured me to do it. However, is his behavior something I should really be concerned about? Again, I don't have any experience with dating and relationships, so I don't know if this is something that's truly concerning. My friends are pushing for me to break up with John, but I'm not sure. How do I proceed with this? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Your friends are thieves of joy. A guy that likes you is going out of his way to learn how to communicate with your brother. That's adorable. Don't let your friends crap on that. They're also angry that is making them look bad. You have close friends you've known for years, and they never made the effort to learn some ASL to talk with your brother? Nice friends. This is it 100%. This isn't very different from a traveler spending time learning some basic phrases before they head to a country. It's considered considerate. John is a considerate person. OP's friends, less so. Yeah, this might be the first time that they say new guy over friends. Also, you've known this boyfriend as a friend before you dated him. Has he ever seemed like the type of person to play such a messed up long game? Or is he just a nice guy? If he's just a nice guy, the true problem is that your friends want to keep you at their level with other people who aren't nice. No, he's never done anything like that before. We were open about each other's dating lives, and he told me he's only had one ex-girlfriend who migrated to another country, so they couldn't make the relationship work anymore. We both have never been into casual hookups or dating apps. He's just a genuinely nice and good-looking guy who I vibed and clicked with. Now for the first update. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who gave their insights in my original post. As I said, I'm very new to relationships, so reading insights other than my inner circles was very eye-opening. To begin, many Redditors said that my high school friends are conniving, untrustworthy, and ableist people who never bothered learning ASL despite knowing me for a long time. I take accountability for this. I'm not saying they're blameless, but it's not entirely their fault. For some context, our family moved to our area when I was in senior high school due to my dad's job. The friend group, 2 guys plus 2 girls before I joined, was already tight when I came in. They then took me in after we got grouped together for a school project, and they've been with me since. We've been friends for about 4 years now. They're not exactly saints, but they helped me survive my senior year in one piece. They're fun to hang out with, and they were the support I needed when I was struggling.
Also, during that time, my brother was having an especially hard time adjusting because of his disability, so my friends never really saw Trev a lot. To be clear, I was never ashamed of Trev. It's just that whenever my friends came over, he either locked himself in his room or was in a different area with his tutor and never really interacted with us. Whenever he did come out, he was really shy and awkward, so my friends mostly just got glimpses of him. By the time Trev became more comfortable in our area and found his own circle, my friends and I had already graduated from high school and didn't really hang out regularly anymore. They're friendly and polite with Trev, but then again, they never interacted enough to the point of them actually needing to learn ASL for him. Now for the update. Last week, my friend group had our year-end party and I decided to bring John along to meet the rest of my friends. My other friend in the group also brought his girlfriend, so this wasn't really weird. Others have done so in the past as well. I've commented in a previous post that John had only met my closest guy friend. I'll call him Mike, 21 male, so I wanted the rest of them to form their own opinions of John after they'd met him. Initially, there was some tension and awkwardness from my friend group toward John. They were a bit cold, and they were throwing some harsh remarks toward him. Eventually, though, they all warmed up to him and they were actually pleasantly surprised by his personality. We all got along well, and we even had fun in our games. However, I could tell that there was still awkward tension coming from Mike toward John and the rest of our group. He was throwing meaner jokes than usual, and he was kind of isolating himself from the activities. The day after the party, I had lunch with my closest girlfriend Sophie, 21 female, to clear the air because I could tell that they also sensed something was off. A lot of Redditors speculated that Mike had a crush on me and was jealous of my relationship with John. Turns out, you're all 10,000% correct, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Apparently, Mike has had a crush on me since our senior year of high school. However, he's known in our school as a notorious ladies' man and had a new girl with him almost every month. This got exponentially worse during college. He had different hookups almost every night, and he even had a pregnancy scare with a girl last year. I knew about all of this because he bragged about sleeping around every time we met up. What I didn't know was that the entire time Mike had been making up fake stories about me and him. Sophie told me that apparently Mike and I had a pact that if we were both still single when we were 30, we'd marry each other. Also, he told our friend group that we hooked up after graduation and that it took my virginity then, so he's my special person, whatever that means. He also told them that we'd been secretly hooking up consistently throughout college. For context, Mike and I go to different universities that are just about 30 minutes apart. Lastly, Mike told them that I said I'm in love with him. He told our friends not to tell me anything, so I wouldn't get embarrassed or upset, since I have this image of being somewhat of a prude. Mike also told our friend group that when he met John, he thought John was a total jerk who had been manipulating me and taking advantage of my innocence and naivety. He said that John had been forcing himself into my family and was driving a wedge between me and my friends. Mike also said that after he had lunch with me and John, he tried to convince me to stay away from John because he's not a good influence on me, but John had effectively brainwashed me. This explains why my friend group was already so antagonistic toward John when I told them about him. For the record, none of what Mike said was true. There was no pact, we never hooked up, and I have never been in love with him. After that, Sophie and I asked the rest of our friend group, except Mike, to jump on a FaceTime call with us. They all shared different versions of what Mike told them. There were a lot more, but I disputed everything. We were all collectively shocked by everything that we learned that day. They apologized for their behavior toward me and John, and I told them I understood, given all the lies fed to them by Mike. Then everyone agreed to kick Mike out of the friend group. Sophie suggested that maybe we could have an intervention from Mike first, but I just said that I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. The rest of the group agreed, so we're essentially cutting him off. Sophie said she would still talk to him just to inform him of everything that happened, but I really just wanted to distance myself from him. Now, it's been a week of being Mike-free. Sophie said that when she and our other guy friend talked to Mike, he became extremely defensive, confrontational, and aggressive. He wasn't physically violent, but he called them names. attacked their characters, and made such awful statements about everyone in our friend group that I won't include here anymore. It looks like cutting him off completely was the right call. Now for some more uplifting updates. After reading everyone's comments on my previous post, I reflected on my relationship with John and my friends. I then talked to my parents for advice since they have the best relationship I know of. They told me that from what they saw of John when he visited our home and how I spoke of him, it seems like he is a legitimately nice person with pure intentions. It also helps that John and I had been friends for months before we started dating, so I already knew his character even when there was less pretense of him trying to impress me. He is already impressive on his own, though, lol. I then told John about everything that happened and apologized, fully expecting him to be mad at me for doubting him and his intentions. Instead, he said he understood, because of course it was just natural for me to trust my friends and expect them to have my best interest at heart. He then asked me if there was any point in our relationship when I felt uncomfortable or uneasy around him, and I categorically said no. I told him that he's my safe space, and he has nothing to worry about. He then reassured me that his intentions with me are genuine, and he even said he sees a future with me, which I reciprocated. Then everyone agreed to kick Mike off the friend group. I believe this is called a mic drop. Don't let your friends off the hook. They chose to believe Mike without bothering to confirm anything with you. Yeah, during my lunch with Sophie, where we had a FaceTime call with our other friends, I confronted them as well about why no one bothered confirming anything with me. They apologized for everything, but I also understood why it was so easy for everyone to believe Mike's lies. Our group dynamic has always been that I'm closest to Mike. We live just 10 minutes away from each other, then Sophie, then the rest of the group. However, the four of them had been friends with each other for about 5 years before I joined. Before Mike became a ladies' man in high school, he was always a smart kid who was either first or second in class. Despite his personality, he was still a very credible person in their eyes. Adding to that, the number of years they've known each other, it's understandable why they blindly trusted everything he said about me. Second update. Just had lunch with the rest of my friend group. We all compared notes about Mike's lies. Apparently, he concocted extreme fantasies about every one of us. He had been stirring unnecessary drama for years. It even caused the breakup of one of our other friends with her then boyfriend. Mike also told them that apparently, I threatened to cut ties with our friend group if any of my secrets came out, which was why no one really confirmed anything with me. He also said I was having mental health issues because of it, but Mike said he was helping me out, so there was no need for them to be concerned. Now everything is clear to everyone, and we're all ready to move on from this. There's still a lot of processing to do, but at least we now know the truth. Last story. My wife's 35 female behavior towards dog feels unacceptable. Should this be a sign I, 33 male, should end it? My wife really wanted a dog a few years ago. I never wanted one. It was simply too much work, and I didn't see any value added to my life from it. But countless Instagram videos of cute dogs convinced her that it would be an amazing, happy thing. So she got one, getting me to tacitly agree to it. I can be a pushover. I agreed to do my best to train the dog, since she wasn't sure how to do that. And I tried, and several folks say our dog is well trained. While she got the dog, I gradually assumed primary ownership, not by choice, but simply because she didn't/couldn't handle him. I didn't mind that, but I do feel a little resentful that so much extra work was added due to her choice. My wife has frequently said she regrets getting the dog, and has even talked about rehoming him, but I never agreed to that because it's against my principles. He's a very energetic, greedy 5-year-old. He counter-surfs and steals food, and he chews on things, destroying toys and furniture. Today, my wife, who works from home, got frustrated after dealing with his behavior all day. When I came home, she began ranting to me, and soon it turned into screaming after the dog stole some food meant for our baby again. She was mad and wanted to punish him. She put him in his crate forcefully and then screamed that he needed to be rehomed. She even said that if she just told animal control that he bit her, they would euthanize him. Our dog never bites anyone out of anger, But when he's excited, he's occasionally jumped and grabbed our arms with his jaw, like a bite, and it can hurt. This is usually very predictable. It happens when we jump, dance, or run in the house. So for an hour, she screamed at him and screamed at me too, about how I didn't train him, I did what I could. How I wasn't at home and went to work for a crappy job that didn't pay enough. She said that before, and then clarified that she always means I could do so much better. I was constantly under stress. Even our 3-year-old son was stressed. The way she behaved with the dog is how she behaves with me frequently. It just so happens that the dog was at the receiving end today. Just based on this behavior, what are your thoughts on my wife as a person? Would you be forgiving and understanding of this? Or deem this entirely unacceptable? I'm asking about this situation, specifically because it doesn't really involve me. It's about her behavior with the dog. In our relationship, we've been through a lot of conflict. I'm suffering, but I can't process ending what we have for a few reasons. I have a 3-year-old and I am worried about not getting sufficient custody. I'm worried she will run away to her home country with a kid or harm herself. I'm worried about jobs, expenses, and responsibilities. And my wife, when she's not crazy, acts like she's sorry and never meant any of this. Now for the advice. The dog should probably get some more training. And your wife absolutely needs therapy. I worry for the day that your 3-year-old is on the receiving end. There's a significant chance that she's already screaming at their kid when OP isn't there. Agreed. OP, she's verbally abusive to you and your dog, and you've seen her be forceful. The beginning stages of physical abuse with your dog. When you say your 3-year-old is stressed, does that mean she has behaved or does behave this way in front of your child? If this is the case, I want to emphasize that your kid isn't just stressed. He's scared of his mother. And this is only what happens in front of you. Your wife needs therapy. Your dog deserves new owners who are invested in training. You both failed terribly with this. However, her behavior is terrible toward you and the dog.